Good morning, Prospect. Getting ready for the Lenten season leading up to Easter has me kind of introspective. And I was led this morning to James chapter 1. There is that interesting little text that says, "You must be doers of the word and not only hearers who mislead themselves. Those who hear but don't do the word are like those who look at their faces in a mirror. They look at themselves, walk away, and immediately forget what they were like." And I can't help but think about how many professing Christians look in that mirror, see an image of God, walk away from the mirror, and act like a complete horses behind. James explains it, and I'm going to get back to James in a minute, but there are two things. We have two habits. We either think too little of ourselves or we think too much of ourselves. Part of the Ash Wednesday liturgy says, "Remember you are dust, and to dust you shall return." And that's as we impose the ashes. But we are just fleeting things. We're grass. We're here today and gone tomorrow. But by the same token, the Psalm says, "You formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I am fearfully and wonderfully made." Folks, we are made in the image of the creator of the universe. And no, that doesn't mean that we all look like God. It means that we bear the mark of the Maker. We are indelibly stamped with the image of God in our hearts and our souls. Peter says, "You are a chosen race, a priesthood, a holy nation, a people for God's own possession." We need to, I'm not sure exactly how to say this because I'm proud to be an American Christian, but we have lived with too many generations of pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. It takes all of us. It takes every single one of us. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy him, for God's temple is holy, and you are that temple. That's 1 Corinthians 3:16 and 17. We are the temple of God. God dwells here now. Going back to James, the verse following the mirror verse. If those who claim devotion to God don't control what they say, they mislead themselves. Their devotion is worthless. True devotion, the kind that is pure and faultless before God the Father, is this: to care for orphans and widows in their difficulties and to keep the world from contaminating us. I firmly believe the world has contaminated us. And in its contamination, we have lost our empathy for widows and orphans. when the Bible talks about this, what the Bible is specifically referring to is the least and the lost. Because in that day, widows and orphans not only had no voice, they had no right to be heard. They were people without an advocate. And God is calling us to take them into our hearts and our homes. And in the world today, who would we classify if you say that the widows and the orphans are the least and the lost, the voiceless? Who are those people today? Part of them would be the homeless. Part of them would be the minority, the downtrodden, the terrified, the terrorized. We, the people of God, the people of God here at Prospect and Oak Hill, have a responsibility to speak and to do the will of God here. And so everyone here is our neighbor, and we are called to put God's word into action. And my prayer for you as we move towards Easter is that you will look in that mirror long and hard and see that image of God that is there, has been there, and maybe, just maybe, you've been looking at it for so many years that you don't see it anymore. All of us knew what it meant to be created in the image of God when we first came to Christ. We were on fire. I pray that each and every one of you will reignite the fire that you had when you first came to God. And I pray that you will be a blessing to this world of darkness and evil, that you will bring light and salt and love because you know who you are. God bless you, Prospect.